Bro, there's this guy who comes to mind, and he always is trying to play it cool. Like this guy, I would never say this in real life to him, but he pisses me off so much. He thinks he's so cool. He just like walks around, like gives zero effort towards anyone. You go speak and have a conversation, and he's got like this super smug smile. Dude, people like this, they're not horrible people. They're just so hard to connect with. They're so stuck in their own world, thinking they're so fucking cool that they don't have time to speak to you. It's such a negative energy to be around. Nobody's ever said this before. It's actually like bad social skills to not be somebody who's approachable. Like ideally, your setup as a guy who's like trying to be really social is you have like a good bit of muscle, so people respect you automatically. Because like whether you like it or not, guys respect like how athletic you are if you're in good shape. And then you're super kind. And when people disrespect you, you of course you have your like barriers, you don't let people disrespect you. But you're super kind and friendly to everybody. You have conversations. You don't like hide who you really are. You just show it. You just tell the truth. Bro, going through life like that is 100 times better for every reason. Because the weirdest thing is when you actually show who you are, people weirdly like you more for that than when you try and make somebody happy by showing them the version of you that you think that they will like you for, they don't even like you. But when you show them who you are, even if you think they probably won't like somebody like you, then they will like you more than that other version you present anyways. Because when you're putting on a mask, you become awkward and you have nothing fun to talk about. You're not the same guy. Unless you're like some social, what's the word? Zeus. Is that the Greek? Yeah. Unless you're some social Zeus, like a Greek god of socializing, then you're not going to be able to just like completely fake your personality, right? And so that's why, and be successful with it, because everybody thinks they can do this. Everyone thinks they're so social, and then they can like pretend that there's somebody else and people won't notice. Everybody knows when you're trying to be cool and you're trying to like look super good or a farm and all this like childish shit. But the truth is, bro, I like that guy who it it may not be me if sorry, it is me, but if I'm thinking about somebody who's not me, who I respected the most, who was in my school in the year above me, this guy, he was like a G. He was a fucking G, bro. He was super jacked. He had a six pack. He was friends with everybody, but he spoke to every single person. He came up to you and he's like hyping you up. It's like 9 a.m. and the school's just started and this guy's like, "Oh, how you going, Finn?" Like he's so hype all the time. And this guy, he really inspired me because at this time I was hanging around with like a lot of teenagers and like, bro, a couple of people would say like, "Oh, bro, being social is so weird. Like, why do you go say hi to everyone?" I'm like, I thought that was the dumbest fucking thing I ever heard in my life, bro. Why are you being social? Why you like to speak to people? Like, if you don't like to speak to people, you're probably not going to go anywhere in life. Everyone's going to hate you, and somebody's going to try and throw you under the bus and ruin your life. If you're a shit person, like, bro, if you're a shit person, everything will go against your way. Eventually, your life will come crumbling down. If you're terrible, if people hate you, trust me, and you don't have any good friends, and you're not a good person, your life will come to an end very fast. And there's a few people who you see them, they're dickheads, but nobody's like realized yet. I promise you, if somebody's genuinely a dickhead, or like they're only dickheads to people who are like weaker than them, like in social hierarchy, right? Let's say there's this popular kid and he's a fucking dickhead to everybody except he's a dickhead to only you and like only a few people who he doesn't really respect. Well, those guys, eventually people see it. Or they just like grow and they mature, which kind of like you don't get your revenge kind of arc, they don't always lose in the end. But if somebody keeps being a dickhead for the next 10 years, people will notice and people will like start to dislike this guy. And his friends won't trust him either. Bro, I don't have friends who like look down on people who are like less jacked than them, or if I was still in school, like less high up in the social hierarchy and all this stupid shit, right? If somebody is a good friend of mine and I see them being like a dickhead to somebody for no reason, like there's a difference between being a dickhead and being like having really strong banter. which is a hard lesson to learn for a lot of people. It was a hard lesson for me to learn. But somebody making jokes about you all the time, especially if it's your friends and you're hanging out and you're already close, then that's not the same as being disrespected or someone being a dick. But I've sidetracked a little bit. Let me come back to one of my next big points. Actually, before I tell you this, this is one of like the biggest benefits of not being nonchalant. Before I want to introduce myself. So I'm Finn, and I help young guys make better friends. And I'm not gonna lie, bro, I sell a course, all right? If you don't like that, deal with it. But links in the description. If you want a long guide, if you trust me enough, by the way, but if you want a long guide that teaches you step by step how to be more social, like what's the method that I use? I don't always get that in detail on my YouTube channel. I just try to provide like common mindsets and stuff. Then click the link in the description because I've put a lot of effort in that course. Now, the interesting thing that happens when you when you're not nonchalant, you make real friends, bro. I was thinking about this the other day when I was with these two guys who I'm really close with. And we were chilling and we were like having a laugh. And I remember I made this one joke and my friend just like blatantly laughed at it, even though it was one of the most horrendous things I could have ever said. But when you make really good friends, it doesn't matter what you say. Like you just have that same sense of humor, even if you're not saying things you're supposed to be saying. If you're close enough with somebody and you both know some kind of like secret, or you both dislike this kind of person and you make jokes about that with yourselves, I don't think it's that bad. Like this could be taken very far out of context. The joke I made it was about like this person, like this friend of ours, or not of ours, but this friend of the other guy who he hates. And I was like, oh, this guy's such a geek or something. And we said it really subtly. No one else heard. And I know it's like kind of hating and stuff, right? But this was just like a general example of, like, usually I don't make negative energy jokes, right? It's just like, I'm not a hater that much. Sometimes I do it, of course. Like, I'm a normal person, bro. If you're a dickhead, I'm gonna hate on you. Like, that's just who I am. But the main thing is, bro, that when you're really close with somebody and you show your true self, you tell the jokes you want to make, then you meet people who have a similar sense of humor to you, who have similar worldviews to you, and it's easier to meet them because you're not hiding. Like, okay, let me give you an example. I was at the boxing gym a few days ago, right? And there's this guy there, and I could have just, like, he was like, oh, what do you want to do, next year? And I was like, oh, I'm taking a gap year. No, that's not what I'm doing, bro. I'm going to grind my YouTube channel. I've got like 100 things planned. I want to go get in the ring. Yeah, I'm going to travel, true. I've got like a lot of like social days planned. I've got so much to talk about. I've got so much going on next year. But he said, what are you doing? And we put this blanket, I do it as well. We put this blanket over ourselves because we think people will judge you. I think, this guy, he's gonna know I have a YouTube channel, like, oh, that's he judged me. But this is just like the irrational thoughts. And the less because it's gonna happen, we're gonna do it. We think that person's judgy, you put on a mask, like, that's fine, that happens. But in general, you want to be as social as possible. Like, you want to be that guy who you're telling the jokes you really want to tell, and people will pick it up, bro. I remember I bonded with some of my old friends over how much I hated my school. Like, school fucking sucks, bro. I hated school. I hated it, man. And a lot of the time you would speak to some people and, there's these guys who are like, nah, I actually really like school. But it's so much of a better conversation when you meet somebody and, you're not liking school that much. You say, bro, honestly, I fucking hate school. And he's like, bro, I fucking hate school too. And then you have this you're like connected now, bro. Anyways, I kind of yapped on a little bit. But if you want something more in depth, I have a course, helps you become much more social. The link's in the description for that. If you really like this video and this kind of content, subscribe. Hope you have a good day, bro. Take care.